first love is often the most memorable, a blend of innocence and intensity that leaves an indelible mark on our hearts. For Arial, a young, attractive woman from a wealthy family, her first love story began when she was 20. Brian, a tall, handsome, and intelligent man, 5 years her senior, worked as a bank manager. They dated for 2 years, and Brian's devotion was unwavering. He always picked her up on time, remembered her preferences, and made her laugh with his jokes. He even talked about marriage after she graduated. Brian loved Arial deeply, and she felt secure and happy with him. Having come from a wealthy family and never having been in a serious relationship before, Arial initially tended to be quite spoiled. However, Brian's love was unwavering, and he always went above and beyond to make her happy. Throughout their 2-year relationship, Brian was the epitome of a devoted partner. He always picked her up on time for their dates, remembered her preferences, and paid for their meals. His jokes never failed to make her laugh, and he was her constant cheerleader, encouraging her to try her best and comforting her when she was upset. For example, there was a time when Arial was feeling overwhelmed by her university studies. Brian surprised her with a picnic in the park, complete with her favorite foods and a handwritten note of encouragement. He spent the afternoon quizzing her and helping her review her notes, making her feel supported and loved. However, Arial's resolve began to waver when another man entered the picture. Johnson, a wealthy young man from her university, started to pay attention to her. He would see her every day at school, his interest obvious, and Arial found herself drawn to the idea of someone new, especially someone nearer to her age and from a background like her own. He was outgoing and friendly, with many friends rallying around him. He also gave her interesting presents and brought her to expensive restaurants that made her gasp in surprise. Her parents' disapproval of Brian's troubled background also weighed heavily on her mind, causing her to further question her relationship with Brian. Arial had quarreled with her parents about it many times, but their disapproval was not her only concern. Arial also worried that her relationship with Brian might end in divorce, as she had learned about his parents' failed marriage online. Arial struggled internally, becoming cold and unwilling to meet Brian's attempt to please her. Instead, she started to pay more attention to Johnson's advances. Although Brian was upset, he remained understanding and patient, never losing his temper even when Arial shouted at him over the slightest thing, embarrassing him in public. Ultimately, Arial initiated a breakup. Brian was heartbroken and tried to change her mind, promising a bright future together. But Arial cruelly cited his family background as the reason for the breakup. Brian, despite his pain, tried to remain friends with her for months before they eventually stopped all contact. It took him a long time to recover from the relationship that had meant so much to him. A few months later, Arial entered a relationship with Johnson. She naively expected him to be as sweet and attentive as Brian, but she was soon proven wrong. Johnson's behavior changed after he entered a romantic relationship with Arial. Before they were romantically involved, Johnson seemed more compromising and caring. However, once they started dating, his behavior shifted. He broke promises, canceled meetings to spend time with his friends, and exhibited mood swings. This change in behavior made Arial feel unworthy and uneasy in the relations. Arial tried to communicate openly with Johnson, but these attempts always ended up in quarrels. Despite her efforts, Johnson's behavior remained unchanged, leaving Arial feeling frustrated and unheard. They broke up after a year, and Arial's subsequent relationships also failed to measure up to what she had with Brian. She realized, too late, that only Brian had treated her like a princess. Regretting her hasty decision, Arial asked a mutual friend to arrange a meeting with Brian, hoping for a chance of reconciliation. She dressed in care, determined to treasure him this time. Unfortunately, it was too late. Brian had moved on and was already in a new relationship. He brought his new girlfriend over to the dinner, and when Brian saw Arial walked into the restaurant, her glamorous outfit catching Brian's eye immediately, making him realize the true intention behind the dinner. Brian rejected Arial firmly, even scolding the mutual friend for arranging it. This rejection shook Arial tremendously. She had never expected such a firm dismissal from someone who had once loved her so deeply. His cold, loveless eyes were a stark contrast to the warmth she remembered. After leaving the restaurant, Arial broke into tears, eventually deciding to move on. She realized that her cruelty in breaking up with Brian had extinguished all his romantic feelings for her, which was he was so brutal with her. Also, she regretted her past action, but it was too late. Later, Ariel dated Peter, a mutual friend who was understanding and kind towards her. Having learned from her past relationships, Ariel was more gracious and mature. She saw Peter as a family man and accepted his proposal after a year of dating. With her family's support, they married and had a loving marriage, welcoming their daughter, Jennifer, a few years later. Facing her daughter growing into a young woman, Ariel shared her experiences. First love, she said, is the most memorable, sweetest, and purest relationship. It lays the foundation for future relationships and helps you learn about yourself and what you want. Choose wisely, as it will affect your future. This kind of love is rare and fragile. When you find someone who loves you deeply and is your first love, treasure it, because it's hard to find someone who will love you as deeply again.